Hey, all right. Welcome back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. I am your host, Rob Rafferty. Hey, listen, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. It's so exciting to have this special episode of Raff's Brain. I'm just, experimenting a little bit with my content. For my tens of loyal fans and listeners, you will know that this is a departure from the norm. Typically, the Raff's Brain is like my playground for zany stories, real-life adventures, explorations in technology, innovation, bringing people together around shared interests, and a lot of hot yoga action, too. Yes, it's a pretty diverse stream of content. But I wanted to try something different here today as an exercise in utilizing some AI tools for repackaging, repurposing long-form content. Anyway, you'll see what I mean in just a second. Here's the context. I want to tee it up before I turn it over to my guest co-hosts, Robot 1 and Robot 2. They sound a lot like human beings. But yes, it's going to be a kind of AI-generated podcast episode today. About 15 or 16 minutes long, maybe 17, I can't remember. The point is, this is not going to be mostly me speaking. It's going to be the robots. So get ready for it. But what are they talking about? What's the story behind this? Real quickly, as anybody who's been following the AI doomer versus optimism debate in this country over the past several weeks, there's always like something new coming out, some hot take, some exciting insight or research or essay. And the latest one to really go viral is by a gentleman named Matt Schumer. And he just blew up with this extraordinary essay. I would highly recommend it, called Something Big is Happening. And I guess I encountered this on X at first. Maybe it was on LinkedIn. I think it's probably manifested in like multiple iterations now. There's all sorts of hot takes on the hot take. And it's like, wow, why can't I get in on some of that action? So here's my attempt to do that in a healthy way, in a constructive way, because I'll be honest, I'm not an AI scholar. I definitely have a disposition. I'm generally embracing of these tools. I'm optimistic about the future. I think there's extraordinary opportunity for mankind and humanity to embrace innovation, technology for good. But I'm not an idiot. Like I need to understand there are risks involved, and so I read that piece and I was like, wow, this kind of rocked me a little bit. Like, am I taking accountability for my support of this technology? How am I thinking about the implications? Blah blah blah. And so that was an interesting moment. And obviously his piece connected with lots of folks. I mean, tens of millions of views across multiple platforms. I'd be surprised if it wasn't over hundreds of millions of views at some point, because it's just a very well-written piece. It's very provocative, matter of fact. It seems like it's genuine to me. I just kind of caught my attention. And then, of course, like everything, it captures your mind and your energy, and then you get on with life. Then a few days later, I don't know exactly when in the time frame this happened, another essay kind of came up in my feed, which was basically a response to it by a gentleman named Connor Boyack, who's lives out in Utah. And his essay is titled, "AI Isn't Coming for Your Future, Fear Is." And I really enjoyed that response. It was respectful and grounded in things that I'm familiar with, the kind of classical liberal economic tradition, free markets, openness, innovation, change, disruption as net benefit for humanity, even as those times are challenging and certainly quite distressful for certain populations. Ultimately, over the long arc of human history, these are good for us, like all sorts of technology and innovation that's very feared initially turns out to become very normalized and regarded as essential for our well-being. So anyway, I liked that essay. I thought it was well written, and I said, man, these are really two dueling and competing worldviews in a sense. That's how I looked at it. I could be wrong, but that's just how I interpreted it. And I wanted to go deeper on it. And there's two things here. I was like, I want to better understand and process these arguments in relation to each other. I'd like some help in doing that. I wonder if there's AI tools that could help me with that. If only these tools existed. And I also thought if I did this, I could bring other people along for the ride and share with them some of the distillations that I've been able to create. So if you're not familiar, there's a really cool platform called Google. Obviously, Google has got a bazillion different products out there. One of them that I'm just fascinated by is called NotebookLM. Look it up. Check it out. Basically, I don't know how it works. I don't really know how any of this stuff works. I mean, I have a general basic premise. In terms of functionally, you upload documents, links, information, and you create this kind of resource library, right? Okay. And then you can command or prompt the notebook to produce distillations of content. So I took Connor and Matt's essays, uploaded them without editing, completely, untouched, with nothing else, just those 2 essays as my data source. And then it immediately spit out a kind of quick summary of these 2 competing essays. And then with a few clicks of a button, I was able to generate what you're about to hear, which is 2 robot voices. They sound very much like humans, but just to know, they're AI, created audio conversation about these essays. It's about 16 or 17 minutes long. I've listened to it. I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of interesting, and it might be a different way to access the debate, because long form essays are great, and I would say actually essential for human progress, like getting ideas out in a long form manner, a deep written perspective that requires some gravity and attention to detail and thoughtfulness. All those things are essential, but they become inherently limiting in their reach. Not everybody likes to read long form essays. Not everybody has the capacity or bandwidth or time. And we all learn and consume information in different ways. I'm not even the greatest fan of long form content. I can lose track of it. My mind wanders, things like that. So anyway, as a personal exercise, I just did this. The conversation you're about to hear is generated entirely by Google NotebookLM. I did not edit it. I did not change it in any way. I just uploaded those 2 essays and it did its own thing. And I think it's interesting what they say and, the kind of perspectives they bring. And hopefully, it's a different way to access these dueling and competing perspectives. Also on my Twitter thread, or I guess it's X, sorry, I forgot. I constantly forget. On X, I dropped also a video. Actually, it's on YouTube. Then I'm going to link it on X. I don't know, man. Is that going to bury my reach? Who knows? I don't understand these platforms. But I don't think I can upload it. I probably can't fit on X. Anyway, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. It's a video slide deck, narrated slide deck. Again, created entirely clicks of buttons in mere minutes. It's like black magic. I have no idea how this stuff works. But again, it's a fair overview with some visuals and then also a infographic. I'm not sure if the infographic works for me as well, but I'm going to share it with you guys just to show you what came out. It's also on my X thread that I will drop, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes here. So again, thanks for being here. I know I have about a dozen friends and family members who listen to my show, but I think this one might land and reach a broader audience, and that's cool. So welcome to Raff's Brain. It's a fun place. So I hope you enjoy it. If you like, subscribe and come back for more zany content of varied topics. All right, here goes the debate. It's more like a discussion than a debate. So enjoy, and thanks for being here.
So it is February 12th, 2026.
It is.
And I don't know if you've been anywhere near a screen this week. The atmosphere just feels
heavy. Yeah.
Heavy. It's like the air has been sucked out of the room.
Well, it's a very strange mix, isn't it? It's like part exhilaration, part absolute dread.
That is the perfect way to put it, because just last week, what was it, February 5th? The whole ground just shifted.
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI releases GPT 5.3 Codex, and then Anthropic drops Opus 4.6 on the very same day.
On the same day.
And suddenly, my entire timeline, and I'm assuming yours too, it's just split into 2 completely different realities.
A tale of 2 timelines, yeah. Mm-hmm. On one side, you've got people just spiraling.
Oh, completely.
They are convinced, I mean, truly convinced, that white-collar blue-collar work effectively ended last Thursday.
They're looking at their careers and just seeing them evaporate.
Right. And then on the other side, you've got this chorus of historians and economists shouting over the noise.
And what do they say?
They're saying, calm down, we've seen this movie before.
Right. This isn't an apocalypse, it's the beginning of abundance.
And that is the tension we are all living in right now.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're looking at 2 viral essays that really capture this paradox perfectly.
Yeah.
In one corner, we have Matt Schumer's piece, Something Big is Happening.
Oh, that one.
And let me tell you, I read this at 2 a.m, and I could not go back to sleep. It is urgent, it's technical, and frankly, it's terrifying.
His whole argument is that we've crossed some kind of threshold.
A threshold where the machines are now building themselves.
And in the other corner, you have the antidote to that 2.0 a.m. panic.
Connor Boyak's essay.
Yeah. AI isn't coming for your future. Fear is. He argues this whole panic is just a well-documented cognitive error.
A mistake he says humans have been making for 500 years. The fixed pie delusion.
Right.
So we are going to smash these 2 perspectives together. We need to figure out not just what happened with the tech last week, but what we, normal people with jobs and mortgages are supposed to do about it today.
Yeah, because whether you think it's the end of the world or a new golden age, you can't ignore it.
No, ignoring it is definitely no longer an option.
So let's start with the catalyst. Why does February 2026 feel so different from, say, 2024? We've had updates before. Why this visceral reaction?
Well, according to Schumer, the models we got last week didn't just get faster or smarter in the traditional sense.
Okay.
They developed something that feels disturbingly human. He calls it taste or judgment.
That is such a critical distinction.
Yeah.
Because in the past, AI was sort of like a brilliant intern.
Exactly. You had to give it super specific instructions, and then you absolutely had to check its work.
Always.
But Schumer gives this example that really stuck with me. He describes telling the new GPT 5.3 to build a mobile app.
Just told it to.
He didn't write a line of code. He just gave it the rough idea, the vibe of the user flow. And then, and this is the part that sounds like science fiction, he walked away from his computer for 4 hours.
Which, if you tried that with a model from a year ago, you'd come back to a complete disaster.
A total mess. Hallucinated code, a broken interface, you name it.
Right.
But he comes back 4 hours later, and the AI hasn't just written the code.
What did it do?
It opened the app in a virtual environment. It acted as a user. It clicked the buttons, tested the features.
It tested itself.
Yes. And then it decided the color palette was, and I'm quoting, aggressive. So it fixed its own design flaws, and it only reported back to him when it was perfect.
So he wasn't needed for the technical work or the design critique?
Not at all. He just described the outcome, and the machine handled everything. Execution and quality control.
We have to pause on that because that shift from just generation to actual judgment, that's massive.
It's a leap.
But Schumer points to something even more technical and frankly alarming in the documentation for 5.3 that I think most people just glossed over.
You're talking about the self-creation part.
Yes. The documentation explicitly admits that the model was, quote, instrumental in creating itself.
Okay, break that down for me, because it sounds like a sci-fi trope, the machine that builds the machine. What does that actually mean?
It's practical engineering, but with wild implications. It means OpenAI used the last version of the model to debug the training data for the new version.
So it's cleaning its own data?
It's cleaning its own data, and it's optimizing the architecture for the next AI.
So they are taking the humans out of the loop.
They're taking the bottleneck out of the loop.
Yeah.
Humans are slow. We need sleep. We make typos. We can only read so fast.
Right.
If the AI can write the code for the next AI and that AI is smarter, well, it can write even better code for the one after that.
This is that intelligence explosion idea.
It's recursive self-improvement.
Yeah.
And Schumer's argument is that as of last week, we have officially entered that loop.
And that would explain the speed. I mean, he cites data from METR, the evaluation org.
The one that tracks how long it takes an AI to do a complex human task.
Right. A year ago, AI could autonomously complete a task that would take a human expert, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, useful, but not world-changing.
But the data from this week, it shows these new AIs completing tasks that take a human expert 5 hours.
5 hours.
And Schumer thinks we are on the verge of AI agents that can handle day-long or even week-long projects. You give it a goal on Monday, and it just works alone until Friday.
Just think about what that does to the labor market.
He's not sugarcoating it. He quotes Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic,
That's his prediction.
that 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs could be eliminated.
And the time frame.
1 to 5 years.
Wow.
The reason for that severity and why this feels so different from the Industrial Revolution is that AI attacks cognitive work in general.
Right, the steam engine replaced muscle. If you lost your weaving job, you could go get a job in an office using your brain.
But AI is coming for the brain work.
It is learning law, finance, coding, medical analysis, all at once. There's no convenient gap for you to retrain into because it's learning the new skill as fast as you are.
If you learn a new software today, the AI will have mastered it by tomorrow morning.
It's exact.
Oh, okay, I have to stop you there because my heart rate is actually going up.
I get it.
I imagine the listener feels the same way. This is the doom narrative. It's fast, it's autonomous, and it's coming for our paychecks.
And if this was the only perspective we had, I'd say, yeah, we should all just move to the woods.
Which is exactly why we need to pivot. Let's talk about Connor Boyack.
The counter-narrative.
Because he reads all of those same headlines, he sees the same benchmarks, but he says, hold on.
He says, this specific fear, the fear of becoming obsolete, it has a 100% failure rate in history.
I have to admit, reading his essay felt like someone talking me off a ledge. He starts with this great story from 1589 about Queen Elizabeth III that I had never heard before.
It's a fantastic historical parallel. So there's this clergyman, William Lee. He invents a mechanical knitting frame.
And this thing is a revolution, right? It can make stockings way faster than anyone can do by hand.
Way faster. So he gets an audience with the Queen. He's expecting a patent, a reward, a parade.
But instead,
yeah,
she shuts him down.
Worse, she refuses the patent because she is morally terrified.
Terrified of what?
She looks at the machine and tells him it would turn her people into beggars because it would destroy the entire hand knitting industry.
That logic, I mean, it feels sound, doesn't it? If the machine does the work, the person doesn't get paid?
It feels intuitive, but it's fundamentally wrong. And history proved just how wrong it was.
So what happened?
England eventually adopted the technology, and did the country collapse? No. It became the wealthiest nation on earth because the textile industry exploded.
Right. It created all these jobs that Elizabeth couldn't have even imagined.
Exactly. Jobs in engineering, shipping, trade, fashion.
This brings us to a concept Boyack talks about called the seen and the unseen. He says this is the key to why we panic.
It's a concept from an old French economist, Frédéric Bastiat. The seen is the immediate, painful job loss.
The copywriter who loses a contract to Claude.
Right. Or the bank teller replaced by an ATM. It's visible, it hurts, we see it on social media.
So what's the unseen?
The unseen is the new wealth and the new industries that emerge because costs drop everywhere. When cloth becomes cheap, people buy 10 times more clothes, so you need more people to design, sell, and transport them.
You mentioned the ATM. Boyack uses that as a specific example, and I wanted to push on that.
Okay.
Because I see ATMs on every corner. Surely the number of human bank tellers did go down, right?
You would think so. It's the classic example of what he calls the fixed pie delusion. The idea that there's a fixed amount of work to do.
But the data says otherwise.
The data is shocking. In the 1970s, everyone thought ATMs would wipe out tellers. But between 1985 and 2002, in the U.S., the number of human tellers actually grew.
It grew. From what to what?
From 485,000 to 527,000.
Ray, how is that even possible?
Because the ATM made it way cheaper to operate a bank branch.
So they could open more branches.
They could open branches everywhere. But the job of the teller changed. They stopped being human calculators, which is boring work, and started focusing on relationship banking.
Selling loans, helping with mortgages, higher value work.
Exactly. The job got harder, but it became more valuable and less tedious.
So Boyack's argument is that the economy isn't a fixed pie where if a robot takes a slice, a human loses a slice. It's more like a garden.
And technology is the rain. It makes the whole garden grow bigger.
Okay, I want to believe this. I really do. But there's this nagging voice in my head. Maybe it's Schumer's voice.
Saying what?
Saying, this time is different. A knitting machine can't write a poem. An ATM can't diagnose a rare disease. AI is disrupting thinking.
And that is the multi-trillion-dollar question.
Does that break the historical pattern?
Schumer anticipates this. He says, look, I know the Luddites were wrong. I know the ATM story. But he argues AI is different because of two things: breadth and speed.
Meaning it's hitting everything at once.
Yes. The ATM only disrupted banking. The power loom only disrupted weaving. AI is touching law, art, code, and strategy all at the same time.
And it's happening in months, not decades.
Right. Schumer's fear is that the adjustment period, that time where we find the unseen jobs, might be too violent for society to handle smoothly.
A few years of real chaos before the garden starts to grow again.
But Boyack pushes back on this, too. He talks about his own experience.
Yeah, that he uses AI for all his drafting and research, but he's never been busier.
That really stood out to me. He said the tools didn't just accelerate his work, they inspired entirely new work.
He's doing projects he couldn't have done before.
Things that would have required a team of 20, he can now do alone.
So is the synthesis here that the middle is just disappearing?
I think that's it. Both authors actually agree on the mechanism, even if they disagree on the outcome. The middle, the drudgery, the drafting, the basic coding, the data entry, it's gone.
Schumer sees that as a crisis of displacement. What do we do with all these people?
And Boyack sees it as liberation. Finally, we can all do higher order work.
Okay, so we have the doom and we have the hope. But I want to get practical.
Good.
We promised we'd figure out what to do today because I can't control macroeconomic fallout, but I can't control my laptop.
And this is where it gets really useful. Because, funny enough, despite their opposite outlooks, both Schumer and Boyack give almost the exact same advice on how to behave right now.
Okay, let's break it down. Rule number 1 seems simple, but Schumer is really strict about it. Use the tools.
But not just use them like use a search engine.
Yeah.
He has this very specific 1-hour rule.
Right. Spend 1 hour a day experimenting.
And this is critical. Do not use the free versions.
He calls the free versions ancient history.
He says it's like judging the smartphone era by looking at a flip phone. You have to be on GPT 5.3 or Opus 4.6, the paid tiers.
And you need to treat it like an employee, not a search engine. What's an example of that?
Okay, so if you're a marketing manager, don't just ask it to write a tweet. That's low leverage.
So what should I do?
Take your last 5 years of sales data, that messy spreadsheet you're afraid to even upload it, and say, find the correlation between our ad spend and customer retention and build me a predictive model for next quarter.
Wow. Okay.
Push it until it breaks. If it gets it right, you just save 10 hours. If it gets it wrong, you just learned the model's limitation. That is the work.
Boyack adds to this by saying the gap between people who talk about AI and people who use it is just massive.
And it's growing every day. If you aren't using it daily, you are falling behind every single morning.
Which leads to rule #2, change your mindset. Boyack frames this as thinking with, not instead of.
I love that framing.
Instead of asking, will AI replace me? The question should be, what can I do with AI that was too expensive or complex to even attempt before?
Exactly. Maybe before you couldn't build a software product because you don't know Python and you can't afford a dev team.
Now you can.
Maybe you couldn't write a book because you struggle with structure. Now you can. The barrier to entry for creating things has just collapsed.
Schumer talks about this with ambition, too. He says, your dreams just got a lot closer.
Don't use the time you saved to watch Netflix. Use it to build something that was impossible for you yesterday.
But there's a defensive side to this too, right? Schumer warns about building financial resilience.
Yeah, because even if the unseen jobs are coming, that transition is going to be bumpy. Save more, be careful with debt. The next few years are going to be volatile.
Which feels like good advice regardless. Okay, rule #3, invest in the human element.
This is where Boyack really doubles down. He lists the things that AI still sucks at, even the new models.
Like what?
Original judgment, deep relationship building, physical world problem solving, and moral reasoning.
So if I'm a consultant, the value isn't the report I write anymore. The AI can write the report.
The value is you sitting in the room with the CEO, looking them in the eye, and convincing them to actually act on the report.
Trust becomes the premium asset.
When content is infinite and cheap, knowing who to trust becomes incredibly valuable.
Schumer also adds a note here about kids. He says, don't optimize your kids for a specific career path.
Right. Don't tell them to be a radiologist or an accountant because radiologist might just be a piece of software in 10 years.
So what do you optimize for?
Adaptability and curiosity. Teach them how to learn and how to build. A curious, adaptable human who knows how to wield these tools.
Yeah.
They will be fine.
So let's try to land this plane. We're here in February 2026. The tech just made a massive leap. Schumer warns us that the unseen threat is a volatile period of disruption. Boyack promises us that unseen opportunity is a massive expansion of human capability.
And you know what? They're probably both right.
The disruption will be real and the opportunity will be massive.
And the only variable is how you navigate the gap between the two.
I want to leave the listener with this thought experiment from Schumer's essay that has just been haunting me. He quotes Dario Amodei again on national security.
It's a chilling image. He says, imagine a new country just appeared overnight.
Okay.
It has 50 million citizens. They're all smarter than Nobel Prize winners. They work 100 times faster than us. They never sleep and they never complain.
And his point is?
We are building that country digitally right now on our servers.
That puts it in perspective. We are not just building a better calculator.
We're inviting a new kind of intelligence into the global economy. And the question you have to ask yourself is, are you going to try to compete with that country?
Because you will lose.
Or are you going to trade with it? Are you going to use its output to build something of your own?
That is the question. So as we sign off, I just want you to do one thing. Don't just scroll to the next podcast.
Please don't.
Open up a paid AI, Model Opus, GPT, whatever is top of the leaderboard today, and do your 1 hour. Give it something real. Make it sweat. Just see what happens.
Don't wait and see. The future's already here. It's just unevenly distributed. Go get your piece of it.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you in the future, which apparently is tomorrow.